Okay, so what if the Buddha wasn't a spiritual teacher, but was more like a systems analyst? That's what we're digging into today. We're going to take three of his most famous teachings, Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta, and look at them in a totally new way. Forget ancient wisdom for a second. Think of them as a bug report for the operating system of reality. So, let's go ahead and run the diagnostic.
Now usually, these three ideas get taught completely separately, right? You get a lesson on impermanence, then a lesson on suffering, and finally, you tackle that really tricky concept of non-self. But what if that's just completely wrong? What if they were never meant to be separate ideas in the first place?
Because when you do a deep dive into the original language, it really suggests this isn't some philosophical buffet where you can pick and choose. No, it's a single, tightly coded algorithm. It's a chain of logic where each step causes the next one. You take one piece out, and the whole program just fails to run.
So, let's run the program. We're going to start with the first error in the system, Anicca. And this is the big one, the foundational bug. And you know what? Its common translation completely misses the point.
Most of us, when we hear Anicca, we immediately think impermanence, that kind of gentle idea that everything changes over time, like the seasons. But linguistically, that is just way too passive. The original term points to something much more active, much more personal. It's actually about betrayal. It's that exact moment you lean on something, expecting it to be solid, and it just gives way.
So, see, Anicca isn't just things change. It means that reality itself is fundamentally unreliable. The old texts compare it to standing on loose soil. The very act of putting your weight on it, of relying on it, is what causes it to collapse right under your feet.
So if the very foundation of the whole system is designed to betray your expectations, well then a second condition isn't just likely, it's logically guaranteed. And that brings us to the next system error.
And that logical consequence is dukkha. But it's not just a feeling. It's the structural friction that's absolutely guaranteed to happen when you try to build a life on that unstable ground we just talked about.
And here we go again. The common translation, suffering, it sends us down completely the wrong path. It makes us think about emotional sadness, but the texts, they describe something that sounds a lot more like a concept from physics. It's not about feeling sad, it's about being under this immense, constant pressure. Think of dukkha like friction. Yeah, exactly. It's the heat and the stress that get generated when two opposing forces smash into each other. Your deep desire for a stable, reliable world and the world's actual, unstable nature. That constant grinding conflict, that is dukkha.
And this question, which pops up again and again in the texts, this is the logical pivot point. It takes the first two conditions. One, it's unreliable, and two, it causes you friction, and it uses them to set up the final and honestly devastating conclusion.
And that brings us to the third and final system error, Anatta. If this system is fundamentally faulty and it's constantly working against you, then in what possible sense can you claim it's yours?
The common translation here, non-self, has caused centuries of confusion. It's not some mystical claim that you don't exist, not at all. The source texts are pointing to something way more practical, almost like a legal statement. It's not about metaphysics, it's about sovereignty.
So this is the crucial point right here. Anatta is a verdict, and it's based on evidence. Because the system is unreliable, that's Anicca, and because it constantly causes you harm, that's Dukkha, the only logical conclusion is that you are not in control. It's like a declaration that you are revoking ownership over this broken machine.
So when you put the whole algorithm together, what do you get? It's not some dark, pessimistic view of life. It's a diagnosis, a clear, cold, and incredibly useful system diagnostic. It's basically a safety manual for a faulty machine.
To really lock this in, let's use one last metaphor. Just imagine this whole system we've been diagnosing. Imagine it's a car that you're sitting in.
So the first thing the diagnostic report tells you is that the car is fundamentally unreliable. When you slam on the brakes, it doesn't stop. It betrays your expectation of control. That is Anicca.
And, of course, the inevitable result of having no brakes is that you're going to crash. There's going to be an impact, pressure, friction, damage. This painful collision, that's dukkha.
And finally, as you're hurtling toward this impact, you realize the most crucial fact of all. You're not even driving. The steering wheel isn't connected to anything you can control. You have no sovereignty here. That is Anatta.
So this entire system error report, Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, it's not a dark philosophy. It's a safety warning for a really dangerous vehicle.
And it leaves you with one single urgent question. Now that you've read the report, are you going to get out of the car?